My name is Julie. I was the first child my mom had while she was still figuring things out. She married my dad, Thomas, right after high school. They were in love, but didn't have much money, and that didn't work out for them. I was still a little kid when she met Richard, a man with lots of money and a fancy car. She left my dad, took me with her, and never looked back except to get the alimony checks. Richard seemed nice at first. He would bring me treats and let me play in his big office with shiny things. But Mom acted differently around him. She looked at me like I reminded her of a past she wanted to forget. One evening, I overheard them talking in the kitchen while I was supposed to be watching TV. Mom said, "She's too much like Tom," in a sharp tone. I didn't understand then, but it hurt to hear her talk like I was a problem. I loved my real dad, even though he lived in a small apartment across the city. Every moment with him was fun, whether we were playing ball in the park or eating cheap pizza. Mom's harsh words stayed with me, and she kept using them. Whenever I tried to help or do my schoolwork, she would say things like, "Can't you do anything right?" Dad was different. He would always tell me, "You're doing great, Julie," whenever I showed him my grades or drawings. He encouraged me to ignore anyone who said otherwise. Things with Mom and Richard got tougher when I started school. Mom cared a lot about appearances and always complained about my clothes and friends. She would compare me to other kids and criticize me for not fitting in. One day, after a particularly harsh scolding about my muddy shoes, I snapped back, saying, "At least Dad doesn't yell about a bit of dirt." Her slap was quick and stung my cheek before I even saw it coming. "Don't talk about your father like that," she hissed, her breath smelling of coffee and anger. I wanted to cry but held back, just like Dad taught me. That night, lying in bed, I promised myself I wouldn't let her see me cry or give her the satisfaction. When Mom announced she was pregnant again, the house felt different, like something was about to change, but maybe not for the better. Mom had that glow people talk about, but it never seemed to be for me. She told us one evening, rubbing her belly, "I'm having a baby with Richard. It's going to be perfect." Richard, always charming, added, "We'll need to redo the guest room to make it fit for a little princess." My heart sank when I realized they were talking about my room. I asked, "What about my room?" trying to stay calm. Mom gave me a tight smile and said, "You can move into the smaller room, Julie. It's only fair. The baby needs the space." The way she said it made it sound like there was no room for discussion, so I packed up my things and moved to the smallest room in the house, barely bigger than a closet. The months went by quickly, and soon Lily was born. Everyone was talking about her, saying how beautiful she was. Mom would gush to her friends, cradling Lily as if she were made of the finest porcelain. "Yeah, she's cute," I would say, trying to join in. Lily was adorable, and I loved her the moment I saw her. I wanted to be a good big sister and help out. One afternoon, I tried to sneak into Lily's room while Mom was busy in the kitchen. I tiptoed in and peered over the crib at my baby sister, who was happily gurgling. "Hey there, Lily," I whispered, reaching out a finger for her to grab. Mom must have heard me because she appeared at the door suddenly, her voice sharp. "What are you doing, Julie? I told you, you need to ask before going into her room." "I just wanted to see her," I protested, feeling tears well up in my eyes. I wanted to help, but Dad was different. One weekend when I was with him, we were having pizza at our favorite place, and I opened up about how Mom was always on edge with me around Lily. I told him it felt like she thought I'd break her or something. Dad thought for a moment and said, "You know, Julie, some people have a hard time sharing love. They think there's only so much to go around. But you've got a big heart. Don't let your mom's ways make you think otherwise." His words made me feel a little better, but back at Mom's house, things didn't improve. Even when I tried to talk about school or friends, Mom was always half listening, her attention mostly on Lily. One day, I came home with a school award for second place in the science fair. I was excited and showed Mom the certificate while she was feeding Lily. "Look, Mom, I won this," I said, holding it out. "That's nice, dear," she replied without looking up. "Put it on the fridge or something." I put the certificate on the fridge, a bit crooked, and stepped back. It felt like just another piece of paper, another day overshadowed by Lily. By the time I reached high school, things were really rough at home. Mom was cold, and Richard seemed indifferent. I felt more like a guest than a family member. Then, out of the blue, Mom said it was time for me to live with Dad permanently. She told me at dinner, just the two of us. while Richard was still at work and Lily was already asleep. "Julie, we need to talk about your future," Mom said, pushing her food around her plate with a fork. Her voice was cold and businesslike, which made me nervous. "What about it?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but my heart was racing. "We've been discussing things," Mom said, "and we think it's best if you move in with your father. With the new baby coming, things here are complicated. You're not a child anymore. You need your own space, and we can't provide that here, not with the new situation. It's cramped, and frankly, the financial burden is more than we expected." I almost choked on my water. Move in with Dad? But why? I thought everything was fine here. Mom sighed deeply. "Look, Julie, it's just not working out. You'll be better off with your dad." "It's better for everyone this way," Mom said. I pushed my plate away, no longer hungry. "What about school and my friends?" I asked. "You can go to a new school and make new friends," she replied, as if it were that simple, like I could just erase my old life and start fresh without any trouble. The next few weeks were a blur. I packed up my things, books, clothes, and a few keepsakes that meant something to me, into boxes. Richard barely said goodbye, and Lily, too young to understand, gave me a confused hug. Moving day was hard. Dad lived on the other side of town in a modest apartment. It was clean but cluttered with reminders of a life that had been on hold since Mom left him. When I arrived, Dad was there waiting with open arms and a worried smile. The apartment was nothing like the house I grew up in. My new room was much smaller, with walls that needed painting and a window facing a brick wall. But it was quiet, and Dad was trying his best. The first day at my new school was tough. As I walked down the crowded hallways, I could feel the stares and hear the whispers. "That's the new girl," as if I were some kind of oddity. In class, I kept to myself, doodling in my notebook to block out the murmurs. When the bell rang, I was the first to leave, not wanting to linger. At home, Dad noticed my mood. "How was school?" he asked, trying to sound upbeat. "It was fine," I lied, shrugging off my coat and dumping my bag by the door. "If it gets tough, you tell me, okay? We're in this together." "You're not alone, Julie," he said. His words meant a lot, but the loneliness I felt was deep and gnawing. It wasn't just about missing my old friends or the big house. It was about feeling unwanted and pushed out, like I was a burden. Adjusting to life at Dad's wasn't easy, but I knew if I didn't pull myself together, things would only get worse. One morning, I woke up, looked around my small room, and decided it was time to take charge of my life. "No one else is going to do it for me," I muttered to myself. Dad noticed the change right away. Over breakfast one day, he looked up from his coffee and said, "You seem more determined these days, Julie. What's on your mind?" I stirred my cereal, trying to find the right words. "I want to make something of myself, Dad. I don't want to end up stuck," I said. He nodded, a serious expression on his face. "I hear you, kiddo. So what's the plan?" "That big scholarship for top students, I'm going to get it," I declared, more to convince myself than him. Dad's smile was just the encouragement I needed. "If anyone can get it, it's you. Just let me know what you need from me." School was tough. I spent long hours catching up and even more time buried in books. My teachers noticed the change. Even the strict ones seemed to respect my effort. One day, Mr. Jensen, my math teacher, kept me after class. "Julie, your work has improved a lot. What's the goal?" he asked. "I need that scholarship," I replied bluntly, packing up my stuff. "I've got plans, and they don't include being stuck here forever." Mr. Jensen studied me for a moment before nodding. "Well, keep at it and let me know if you need extra help. I'm here." Making friends wasn't easy, but I found a few people who didn't mind that I wasn't always the life of the party. During lunch, I sat with Maria and Luke, two kids who weren't exactly popular but knew how to laugh. "So, Julie, you're like a library ninja now," Luke joked one day, nudging me as we sat down with our trays. I cracked a smile. "Yeah, gotta be stealthy if I want to snag the best study spots." Maria, her voice soft but sincere, said, "It's cool what you're doing, Julie. Most people wouldn't bother." As the days turned into months and the pressure built up with the approaching application deadlines, Dad was my rock. He was always there with a hot meal and a listening ear whenever the stress became too much. The day the scholarship letter arrived, my hands were shaking as I opened it. Dad was right there, holding his breath. I read the words with my heart pounding, and when I realized I had won, I let out a cheer so loud I'm sure the neighbors heard. I got it, Dad. I got it, I yelled, waving the letter like a victory flag. Dad swept me into a big hug, laughing and cheering with me. I knew you could do it, he said. A few months later, as I packed up my things for college, I felt ready. The future seemed bright, and for the first time, it felt like it was truly mine. I was leaving, but I was taking all the lessons, love, and hard-earned wisdom with me. After graduating with honors and starting a solid career, I felt like I was finally on stable ground. I was 28, doing well professionally, and had just started seeing a wonderful guy from work, Jack, who had been nothing but supportive. Then, out of the blue, my mom called. We hadn't spoken much since I moved out, but suddenly she was back with a request, or rather, a demand. Julie, your sister Lily is going to college in your city. We've paid her tuition and think it would be best if she stayed with you, Mom said, her tone making it clear this wasn't just a suggestion. I hesitated, remembering our strained relationship, but I wanted to believe things could be different. Okay, Mom, I'll help Lily out. It might be nice to reconnect, I said, trying to sound positive. Lily moved in a week later, and it was clear we were very different. She was always focused on her appearance and had high maintenance needs. On her first evening, she asked, "Can you make sure we have almond milk and kale? I'm on a special diet." "Sure, I'll add them to the grocery list," I replied, trying to be accommodating. But living with Lily was harder than I expected. She partied all the time, coming home at dawn with loud laughter, while I was anxious about work. One afternoon, Jack came over while Lily was getting ready for a night out. I noticed how she smiled at him a little too sweetly. After she left, Jack said, "Julie, I think Lily's got the wrong idea about me. She's been flirting." I felt a mix of anger and embarrassment. "Thanks for telling me, Jack. I'll talk to her." When I confronted Lily, she laughed it off. "Oh, come on, Julie. I'm just being friendly. Besides, can I help it if he likes me back?" "That's my fiancé, Lily. You need to respect that," I said firmly. Her laugh chilled me. "Julie, I'm used to getting what I want. I always have been." That was the last straw. I couldn't live like this, constantly feeling I had to guard my life from my own sister. "You need to find another place to live, Lily. This isn't working out," I told her firmly. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Within an hour, my phone rang. It was Mom, her voice cold and sharp. "You're such an envious girl, Julie. Can't stand to see your sister happy, can you?" "I just want respect, Mom. That's all," I replied, but it felt like talking to a wall. After that, things went quiet with Lily. I heard she dropped out of college and was living off her charm and social connections. I focused on my life with Jack, my work, and rebuilding my boundaries. 2 years later, things were going well for me. I was advancing at work, and life with Jack was great. Then I heard about Lily. She had dropped out and was getting married to a rich guy she'd met. Feeling a mix of curiosity and goodwill, I called home to offer congratulations. Mom answered, her voice as cold as ever. "Don't bother. We're not waiting for you at the wedding. It's for rich people only, and we don't need any beggars there." Her words cut deep. I tightened my grip on the phone, feeling the old sting of rejection. "Really, Mom? That's how you're going to be? What did you expect, Julie? You've always been the difficult one." "Just stay away," she said before hanging up. I stood there, the dial tone echoing in my ear. The hurt was real, but I wasn't going to let it break me. I later found out that Lily's wedding was lavish, with popular artists and actors. Life moved on for me too. Jack proposed, and suddenly I was planning my own wedding. Nothing extravagant, but filled with love and sincerity. I called Dad to share the news. "That's wonderful, Julie. I wouldn't miss it for the world," he said, his voice brimming with happiness. Encouraged by Dad's reaction, I decided to make one last attempt to reconnect with Mom. I dialed Mom's number, my heart racing. When she answered, I said, "Mom, I'm getting married. I'd really like you to come." Her reply was icy. "No, Julie, I'm not interested in some modest gathering. Count me out." I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "Okay, Mom, take care." I hung up, knowing it might be the last time I'd invite her into my life. Our wedding was simple but beautiful. Dad walked me down the aisle, and his presence was a steady comfort. The room was filled with genuine smiles and heartfelt congratulations, unlike the grandeur and coldness of Lily's wedding. Our modest reception was full of laughter, dancing, and stories. Jack and I celebrated with friends and family who loved us for who we were, not for our money or status. Life was moving along well. Jack and I were thrilled to be expecting our first child. One ordinary afternoon, my phone rang and turned my day upside down. It was Mom, and she wasn't calling with congratulations. "Julie, you have to take us in. We're desperate," she said, skipping any pleasantries. "What's going on?" I asked, though I was afraid to hear the answer. "Richard's business failed. We mortgaged the house for Lily's wedding, and now it's all gone. Lily's marriage is over, and her husband kicked her out, demanding money for her cheating," she explained, her voice full of panic. I took a deep breath, trying to process everything. "Okay, slow down. What exactly are you asking?" "We need a place to stay. All of us. We're coming to your house," she said as if it were obvious. Her demand hit me hard. "No, Mom, you can't just decide to move in with us. It doesn't work like that. You owe us after everything we've done for you," she snapped. I felt a surge of anger. "Oh, Mom, remember how you were when I needed you most? You pushed me out and chose everything over me. Now you expect me to open my doors?" Her voice rose. "You're being selfish, Julie. Where is your family spirit? I am your mother." "Being a mother doesn't mean making demands," I shot back. "It's not about debts." Her fury was palpable. "You'll regret this, Julie. I might even take you to court to get what I deserve." I laughed, though it was more from disbelief. "Go ahead and try. Dad was my guardian when you kicked me out. What will you claim? Your daughter wouldn't let you live off her after you threw her out." There was a pause, and I could almost hear her thinking. "This isn't over, Julie," she hissed before hanging up. After that call, life felt like a fresh start. Jack and I were busy preparing the nursery, picking paint colors, and assembling the crib. On a sunny Sunday morning, I was folding baby clothes and putting them neatly into the new dresser. Jack was busy drilling something while I was organizing baby things. He looked over with a smile and asked, "How's it going, Julie? Need any help?" "I got it, thanks," I said, running my hand over a tiny Wednesday. "Just thinking about everything." "It's really happening, huh?" "It really is. We're going to be parents," Jack said, his voice a mix of awe and nervous excitement. Then there was a knock at the door. Jack went to answer it while I continued organizing. I heard voices and Jack called out, "Julie, it's for you." I was surprised to see my dad at the door, holding a teddy bear and grinning. "Surprise," he said. "Dad, what are you doing here?" I asked, rushing over to hug him. "I wanted to see how my favorite daughter is doing," he said, handing me the teddy bear. "And I brought something for my future grandchild." "Thank you, Dad. It means a lot that you're here," I said, feeling emotional. Dad looked around at the baby furniture and books. "Looks like you're almost ready." "We're trying. It's a lot, but we're excited," I told him. Then I hesitated. "Dad, I had another call with Mom. It didn't go well." Dad's smile faded. I heard she wasn't pleased. "No, she wasn't," I said firmly, but I had to stand my ground. "We need peace here, for me, Jack, and the baby." The day passed with Dad sharing stories and giving us some amusing parenting advice. We enjoyed our time together. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, we sat on the porch. Jack put his arm around me and I leaned into him. "Despite everything with Mom and the drama, I feel lucky we have each other," I said, looking at the fading light. "We're about to start this amazing new chapter, and I think it's going to be great." Jack kissed the top of my head. "It will be. We've got this, Julie." As night fell and Dad said his goodbyes, I felt a deep sense of contentment and readiness for the future. The challenges with Mom and the uncertainty of new beginnings had been tough, but they had led me to this moment surrounded by love and support.